I'm Paul Sims, and I'm here with
Joe Furey.
Brian Kelley.
I'm Vicki Lewis.
Hello, Vicki.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, Vicki.
Hi, Vicki.
Hello.
This is the first
Boys.
session we've done with Vicki, and Vicki, what do you remember about getting cast in the show and the audition process?
Actually, I remember very distinctly going to Starbucks with a script and my friend Roger Bart, and I didn't think I was at all right for it. I was nervous that I wasn't pretty enough, that I wasn't ditzy enough. It read like sort of a ditzy blonde character to me. So I, with help from him, I came in and read the lines, and I think really in that simple moment kind of created the character. That everything that was said was. Oh, you always, that's why you're right. You put the words in my mouth. Do you know what I mean? It was.
Nope, you're on your own for this one.
Okay. Thanks a lot. There's that mush mouth.
That's Vicki with the mush mouth.
No, I mean, my stakes were really high. Do you know what I mean? It was extremely serious. I played against what I thought was written on the page. And I remember what you said to me. I've seen 200 people, 199 of them read it one way, you read it the other way.
That's true, and that's what got you the part. And that was also the same thing with how we cast Stephen Root as Jimmy James, as we saw 199 people do it one way, and then he came in and did something completely opposite. So
Yeah.
And I remember also I think Jimmy Burrows had seen you on Broadway.
He had seen me do Damn Yankees on Broadway.
That's
and,
right.
in retrospect, when I look back, like Bernie Brillstein was standing in there, it looks like a big Santa, and all you guys and Jimmy Burrows, and it really worked in my favor that I didn't know who the hell any of you were. Because I would have been nervous as all get out,
And then I'm just remembering this. Then when we went to the final part of the casting process is we take our final 2 or 3 choices to the network so the network can approve them. And didn't I run into you in the gas station
Yeah.
in Burbank?
And then we made out there.
No, we didn't. But
fate.
I think your deal wasn't closed yet. But I think I did tell you
And you
that you'd
hinted
gotten
that it was,
that you'd gotten a part.
And then you guys were nice enough to give me a raise voluntarily the first season. Because my quote was so low because I never had done any television.
That's right.
Jesus, that was a mistake.
Oh my God.
And
That has
thus
to be
began.
corrected. Did you wear the mush mouth mask to the audition?
It's not a mask, Joe. It's a hat.
I mean,
Yeah,
a hat.
Joe.
Excuse
Can't
me.
you follow the plot of the episode?
You look around Candy's
hold
wig
it.
and you'll find it.
That's what Candy was saying the other day. She's like, I wore so many different wigs.
I remember really enjoying Matthew's horrible Amos and Andy routine here.
Oh, yeah, it was really...
Yeah. There's nothing really more horrible than him rehearsing it in my dressing room when he wasn't rehearsing it with you.
I say, Kingfisher.
A lot of people have come in here and said Andy seemed to end up in their dressing rooms all the time.
We did a scene together alone in this very break room one night, and you called cut, and we ran out to look at the playback, and he came over and he grabbed me and he goes, "Did you see that last scene? Was I funny?" I said, "Andy, I was in it with you."
That's so typical Andy.
Ah, that's funny.
And he probably said, you were?
Yeah, he was shocked.
Yeah, Andy, I was talking to you in the scene.
What was
right.
You work on the show?
Vicki? What was your favorite part of the work week, and your least favorite part?
My favorite part of the work week was Tuesday night after the show.
Going out and drinking.
Going out.
Drinking.
Yeah, drinking, and then if it was the last show of the season, taking that drinking into Vegas and ending it there.
That's the
My
first-
least favorite part was always the table read because I
Really?
was always very unnerved by it. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
seems.
That a tie between that and the network run-throughs.
Well, you were repeatedly almost fired after so many table reads.
Yeah.
Do you know before, this has nothing to do with anything, but during Three Sisters, this girl, Catherine, and I were sitting in the dressing room, and it was early on, and we had to do one of those producer run-throughs. I go, "I'm really nervous. I should probably put some makeup on." She goes, "You're not pretty. You don't need to look pretty. They hired me to be pretty, not you." She said that to me.
That's
Just
nice.
thought of that.
Sounds like something Andy Dick might say in the old NewsRadio days.
He used to wear my makeup as well.
At least you were prepared for it.
You
What
are
else?
very pretty, so don't listen to her.
Don't
Thank
listen
you,
to that
Joe.
person. That's
Yeah,
true.
right?
Now, the other interesting thing, it hasn't happened in this episode yet, but this was during the stage when the network was really encouraging us to do stunt casting, which means get a celebrity guest star, as if we didn't already have 8 actors that were
And
good
you'd
enough.
already asked me for
Right.
Nick Nolte 10 times?
Yes, and
That's right.
and for this one, originally we wrote the part of the.
Don?
The
Don.
fellow that Vicky's character negotiates with, who is supposed to be a sort of like a mobster, And
A tan mobster.
yeah, well, we
Yeah.
wrote it originally for Dana Carvey, who was a friend of Phil's. So just
Right.
as we were asking you for your help, we asked
Good
Phil
to
for
know
Dana's
it didn't
help.
stand alone.
And Dana didn't come through, and so we went further down the list, and that's how we ended up with George Hamilton.
It was either, I remember it was either him or George Goober Lindsay. And
I'm always amazed by Joe's makeup because you know he has vitiligo.
Well, coming from someone like you who has rosacea, I don't
know.
think you should bring
and
that
that's
up.
the name of my. No, I have this ruddy problem on my, and they always had trouble covering it up. They were always confounded by it. And we finally came up with this airbrushing base that would work, and it would cover it. But I was trying to figure out what to name my corporation that season, and Dave told me to name it rosacea because I wouldn't shut up talking about this skin disease I had. And he put out this logo, it was a rose, the ace, and the Shah of Iran.
Do you have that on T-shirts yet? Because I would buy one of those.
Yeah.
I'd invest in your corporation too, as a matter of fact.
Not these days, you wouldn't want to.
Then the other interesting thing. So the character originally in the script, being a mobster, was
Joe's wearing a gay earring. Did you see that? He's wearing a diamond earring.
I did not.
Yeah, and
notice it.
he was wearing an earring in another one
I'm
too.
sorry
I
to cut you off,
noticed.
Paul, but
no,
yeah, he was wearing
go
an
ahead.
earring.
No, that's all right.
The mobster thing you were saying?
Paul's our fearless leader.
The mobster was supposed to be named like Don Pantangelo, like Don Corleone of The Godfather, one of those names. And
I think it was Paul. I think it was Don Rigatoni, if I'm not mistaken. we laughed about that one for days.
5
That
minutes.
looks like
If
sort
it
of
wasn't,
like
it should
his
have been
face.
that.
Anyway, the problem we had with the network, and with all these scripts, there was always problems, things that the network wanted us to change, is they did not want us to insinuate that the mobster character was Italian American.
Really?
Because I don't know why.
You can't imagine.
Apparently, there's some people who they don't want to offend. I don't know.
Well, I think
Maybe
it was
that's
either the mob doesn't exist or Italian Americans don't exist. It was something, I forget what their argument was.
It was something
like that.
ridiculous.
No.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we had to change the name of the character to Don Green.
Oh, that's right.
To make
that's
it
right.
to
I
make it
forgot about
as
that.
as un-Italian American sounding as possible.
Much,
and then
much
I remember
better.
having a discussion with the standards people who even wanted us to change the Don part. And I said, no, now it's just the name Don, like Donald. So
Didn't
it's
we make a
essentially
joke
Donald
about
Green.
that too? Wasn't there even a joke where he said, "No, that my name is actually Don" or something? Didn't he say that in
I
the
think so, and
script?
that probably saved the day.
Yeah,
I just
that
remember.
probably did
I
it.
just remember that character ending up so far away from what we were originally thinking of because of so many.
I didn't know all this, and so on the floor, it seemed a little banal of a lobster choice, of a mobster choice
I know.
to me. And it seemed more like a lobster choice.
No, it's true. We couldn't.
it did.
because
I couldn't
we had to
figure
take
out
out.
why.
We had to take out any reference to like. I don't even think we were allowed to say that the social club you were meeting with him at was in Little Italy.
Yeah.
We had to change all
Yeah,
that.
they had to change everything,
Now it
didn't we?
makes
That's
sense
right.
to me.
I remember now remembering all of that.
This is also one of the mini episodes we did.
We always hated working in that break room,
Really?
because,
Why?
Yeah, the chairs had to be set on a spike mark, and you couldn't really sit naturally, because you would block someone, and.
Okay, you're creeping me out.
You were funny, Paul.
I'm not on screen.
Yeah, but the writing is.
This is one of the mini episodes we did where Jimmy teaches someone something. I always like episodes where someone teaches someone something. And he's teaching Beth the art of negotiation. And there's a very good trick that everyone can use in their own lives here, which is if you're having a staring contest, the key to winning is staring at the point between the person's eyebrows and
That's
not
right.
actually looking in their eyes.
That's fantastic.
I'm still completing work on my my
going to use
teeth that
that.
have completely rotted out from the gum. Over the
Yeah, there was a
years.
lot of gum. It wasn't until around season 3 or 4 that you dropped the gum, was
Yeah,
it?
you came up to me actually during the pilot taping, and you go, "Less gum."
But then it ended up there were like wads and wads of gum. You were
Yeah.
like there was one
It
episode
went.
where
It was cyclical. The gum.
yeah, there was huge amounts of gum.
I want a raise.
Oh, see, she's doing that
Now
thing
she's
right there.
doing it herself.
She's doing it.
The only one that couldn't pull it off was Andy, right?
I think so.
Doesn't Andy or Joe have to do this and they can't do it?
I don't remember. Oh, I think no.
Oh,
I
that's a
think
different episode.
Yeah, I think that in this one it's Lisa tries every lesson that Jimmy
Right.
has taught your character, and
Oh, that's
it
what
doesn't
it was.
manage
Yeah,
to
she's
seem to work for her.
following. Right. She keeps wanting to hear them. Hear the lessons.
How before you did the show, were you familiar with Dave from Kids in the Hall
Not at all.
Were you familiar with anybody from the show?
Only Phil Hartman.
from Saturday Night Live?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not even Andy.
Nope. I mean, I was, the twain don't meet. I mean, I was a Broadway gal.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I remember coming out on the set and we were working, they were doing Guys and Dolls on Broadway, and I mentioned, like, Nathan Lane and Faith Prince, and, like, everyone in the cast just kind of went quiet and dead in the eye.
Really?
Yeah, like, you can't really talk about the two different,
What other plays were you in?
It's not really about me right now, Joe, is it?
It is about you.
As a matter of fact, it is.
No one wants to hear what we're saying. We want to hear what
I
you're
did
saying.
a lot of Broadway shows, but I mean, most recently, I went back and did Chicago on Broadway. I took over for B.B. Newirth, which I believe
Who ended up in a
guested on our
show.
Yeah.
She ended up in an episode.
Yeah, did that most recently.
And before NewsRadio, had you done any other TV shows?
No.
Hold it. Hadn't you
Yeah,
had a
I
guest?
had done little guest spots. Yeah, I did Seinfeld guest spot, Murphy Brown guest spot, and Home Improvement.
And what is your favorite curse word?
No, but I
If you
learned
were to see
everything
God,
on this
what
show.
would you like to have him
I
say
learned
to you?
how to be a television actor
heaven exists.
on this show.
How was it?
Heaven exists.
Hey, you monkeys, knock it
Yeah.
off.
I don't want to talk about this stupid show anymore.
How was acting on this show different from doing Broadway?
Well, it was, it was subtle. I mean, all these characters, our stakes are really high. I mean, you cast this show so brilliantly, if I do say so.
Well, thank you.
I mean, but everybody's so very real and so subtle within what is important to them. And I learned that from you, and I learned that in particular from Phil. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I grew up on this show. I really did. I grew as an actor on this show because of...
Were you nervous at the beginning?
Very nervous. I was nervous throughout this show.
I think the dirty little secret is we were all nervous throughout this whole show.
Everyone was nervous.
I know. Now we
particularly
look
at the end
back
of
on it 5 years later. We're like, oh, those were such good times. We
Yeah.
forget, like, drinking Maalox. And
Exactly.
And at the end of every
I remember
season,
we
we were
used to
almost
suss
canceled,
out the
too.
new gals that would come in, sort of, we didn't want them to be that funny or that pretty.
Well, mission accomplished.
Well, it must have been interesting coming from the stage
Oh, hey,
background,
hold it.
too.
Be quiet here.
Wait.
This is the one time we got away with.
Oh,
We got away with.
Yeah.
We snuck a little profanity past the NBC
Oh,
censors
that's right.
by spelling the word CHE.
I remember you got back at them at one point by just doing an episode where you were allowed to say the word, you had found out you were allowed to say the word penis 5 times, so you did that.
Yeah, but
then it
then
ended up
after we
being
finished
one.
it, then it became a negotiation about
Oh, it
no, maybe
did.
it's only 2 times. Okay, maybe how about 4? How about 3.5?
Right.
And then I think it was 1. If even 1, as I recall.
Right, and then have you been over this? So then Mad About You did a show where they said penis it was the joke
Yeah,
on
I
that
saw
show.
that.
The same year they did it like 15 times. On
Oh,
one
that's
show.
true. Well, they had good ratings.
Outrageous.
I think that's the difference.
I had a question,
Yes.
which was Vicki, coming
Yeah.
from a stage background, since we kind of did this like a stage play, was that helpful to you? Like, how there was...
You know what was great about this show that I haven't experienced since, or actually have really rarely seen, is that it moved.
Yeah.
If you watched on camera night, I mean, you'd see those cameras were always in motion, and how do I put it? I mean, it really was, the actors would move how they needed to move, and Jimmy
And they would
Burrows
follow.
find us.
Yeah, they'd find.
Yeah, so
you,
it has
yeah.
a natural energy to it that is a great energy that you
And
don't
also,
see in a lot.
since we stayed mainly in our main set, people could move from room to room, and we didn't have
That's
to
right.
stop and go to a little,
The set was laid
tiny-
out great.
Well, that was the
and then
thing-
they copied it beautifully on Suddenly Susan, I thought.
Yeah, it did a
Oh,
great
you want to
job.
get into that stuff
Oh,
already?
yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
My favorite was when Kathy Griffin asked me if anybody asked her what was it like, to sleep with Nick, just so she knew how to answer it.
And how did she answer it?
No comment.
Now, we've spent.
Wait a minute, Kathy Griffin slept with Nick?
Oh, stop it. In doing these commentaries, we always end up spending an extraordinary amount of time talking about wardrobe. Well, this time it actually
is,
works.
this is pre when we were having to outdo Kathy. We got so desperate that we were going into thrift shops and picking dresses that were like, size 10s and cutting them up and sewing them into things that just simply couldn't be bought or stolen that quickly,
This was also in the second season. The first 7 episodes, your wardrobe was just not right.
Right.
And you knew it, I knew it,
Yeah.
everyone knew it, and we didn't really know how to fix it.
Yeah.
By the time we got here, at least it was,
We were on the road to something.
it was something a little bit better.
By the time the show was canceled,
Look
we
how
figured
that
it
would
out.
look normal on me, and look how ridiculous it looks on Maura. I mean, isn't that funny?
It is funny.
She's so good. I miss
It's
her.
amazing that it fits you both. exactly the same way. How's that possible?
What are you saying?
You're not
Oh,
really
yeah,
the
what are
same
you saying?
size.
They had
You're
two
a
different
little.
costumes,
I know.
Joe.
I'm not
No,
sure.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm
not
talking in terms of the characters.
I'm not sure who's insulted there. Is he insulted
yeah.
more? Or
No,
you,
no
or-
one. I'm just saying you're not the same size, but the outfits actually fit both of you very well. That's make a lot of sense for the characters. Go what?
What's wrong with you?
Nothing. Just kidding.
I'm teasing. Anyone else have any good questions?
This is before we got that curl down. They would put my hair in curling iron. Oh, here comes the tan mob guy. And it would fall. We hadn't found the right amount of spray to keep the curls in all night, so it's sort of fallen in this episode of it, I'm seeing.
Yeah, under the hot lights.
Yeah, that guy was humorless.
Look at
He
him.
was real serious on the set all day.
See, I guess
How about that guy in the back? What
He
was
was real
like?
serious, too.
this is so absurd now watching it back that it's Don Green. Like,
Yeah, right?
Brian,
Yes.
what is your favorite curse word?
He was
there
very
he is.
nice.
There he is.
Was he?
He does it with an accent, doesn't he?
He seemed like to me, like he wasn't that interested in doing this.
Well,
I didn't think he was that interested, but he wasn't.
He seemed like he was
polite.
angry or something.
well,
Like he didn't
really?
want to do this.
The
at
thing
all,
I didn't
yeah.
realize till later was because when you try to get a famous person to be the guest star, you keep going after people, and you can't get anyone. Then we got him, and I thought, well, that's kind of exciting. He's a big star. And then I later realized that he was launching his talk show at the time, and I guess he told his agents, like, I'll do guest spots on every TV show, as
Really?
promotion, because in the next 2 weeks I saw him on like 5 other
I
shows.
thought they had a
playing
thing that
different
you couldn't do
characters.
that. They wouldn't let you pop around from show to show.
No.
Maybe that's just something they say to me.
Yeah.
Games. What are we talking about here?
Oh boy.
It is a little painful
Oh,
now.
here we go. English mouth. Okay.
Oh yeah, a little Italian speaking.
Here's a question I have for Vicki.
Yes, Joe.
I was thinking about this with the other characters too, but did you ever think of anybody at all, like when you were playing this character? Obviously, did you ever base it on anyone? Like
You know
family
what? This
members
is the first
or anybody?
time
Or...
ever that it became me.
Oh, really?
Real quickly, because of some direction that Paul gave early on. I don't remember the exact words, but always his guidance. And it really is me. I mean, a lot. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
created this character that was authentically, voiced through me, and is really real to me, even as I look at it now.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's a character you're doing or a.
No, but you helped me to
Not at all. I mean,
to get to that place, Paul.
I think originally, as with everything in the original writing, a lot of the characters were sort of based loosely on people I knew, and yours was based on my old assistant Michelle Cezanne, who you finally met once,
yeah,
who
yeah,
also
that's
happened to
right.
be a redhead herself,
Yeah.
and who's very different from you, but
and then they all did become literally like all of the actors playing them. I mean,
yeah.
everyone kind of just we
This
started
cast
writing
is-
toward them.
Yeah,
too.
this
They-
cast is. I mean, you guys we used to think you were sitting around, spying on us towards the end of the run because it would get. Well, sometimes you were, weren't you?
Yeah. I don't know what
But
about
no,
anyone
like
else,
the
but
plots,
I was.
it started to get a little too close to home sometimes.
Yeah, basically
Right?
anything that was going on with you guys or anything that was going on
It
upstairs with
showed
us.
up on the page.
Yeah.
It just seemed like a good place to
Absolutely.
start, a good jumping off point.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, come on. Is it plastic
That's what I call dead silence.
I know it is. I'm
Okay,
trying to
here's
figure out
another
if Dave's
question.
hair is gray or if he put like highlights in it and they're lit funny. And I don't mean that in a mean way.
I'm not sure.
He has that really cute little bit of gray sometimes, but I couldn't figure out what his hair was doing.
Well, he's got a lot more of it now.
Does he? I
Yeah.
haven't seen him. I miss him.
He's even cuter now as far as the gray goes.
Yeah. Okay. He's married now. He has a
Yes.
little
Yes.
baby.
Little baby was in here the other day.
Yeah. Are you married?
What?
How about you, Joe? Are you married?
I'm not. No. Not
I'm
yet.
married.
Really?
Yes.
Brian is married.
Get out.
And it's-
I'm not married. I don't think any of us will ever marry.
We'll never marry. And now it's come to a dead
Back to the
silence
show.
again.
You know what?
I know.
I'm going to consult my notes that I brought with me.
I had a question before and then I forgot what it was.
Oh, that's fascinating for
Yeah.
the fans watching right
Yeah.
now. Just to know
I
your.
fell off a horse
Don't
the
like
other
the
day.
rest
It
of
was
this
killing
is-
time here.
No, it's very nice actually that Vicky's here doing this commentary because she did fall off the horse and get a concussion the other day. So, you feeling okay?
I am. I'm doing just fine.
Did you have
I
a?
did take quite a fall though. I fell off a Tennessee Walker. I was thrown, as they say.
Oh.
And then I bought it, and then I promptly bought it. I mean, I knew it was the horse I wanted, and then I had this little mix-up in taking direction, and I released a rein when I shouldn't have, and the thing threw me. But it is the perfect horse, and I'm really excited to own it.
Oh, good.
And you're confident that the horse and you are going to make up, and there's not going to be any
not
more
really, but-
incidents.
You have to let a horse throw you before it'll respect you.
Twice, as a matter of fact. So.
We talked the other day when Joe Rogan and Andy Dick were both in here about how Joe and Andy had a strange love-hate relationship
Oh, they did.
where Joe thought Andy was the funniest person in the world, and Andy liked Joe, but then some weeks I would
No, he
come
didn't.
in and Andy would hate Joe. I know, I couldn't figure it out.
Another
What
perspective.
Because Joe's humor, walked a fine line at times in terms of the gay element. Come back.
is that what it was? Joe's explanation was, I'm the only person in your world who is honest with you.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah.
Joe used to draw these brains. They were horrifying. I used to dread that he would pick mine. He would,
Oh,
I
we were
remember the
talking
big
about that
circle
the other
down
day.
and
Oh,
like.
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine one week was just get through the day and get back to therapy. But he was right.
Thank you. Thank you for rubbing it in as much as humanly possible.
Don't worry about it. I mean, my ex-girlfriend in a jug band. Come back, Lisa.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just singing. It's very catchy.
Listen, Linda, there's something I must tell you. Something that might come as a bit of a shock to you.
Really? Me too.
Oh?
I think I'm falling in love with you, Bill McNeil. So, what's your news?
Mom and Dad are in town, and I'd love you to join us for dinner at Le Cirque. I'll fetch my cook.
Bill! I thought you were going to tell her.
I have bigger things to worry about now, Dave.
Wow, it's over already?
What happened in this?
Did you have Vicki? That's what I was going
Yeah.
to ask you. Did you have a? Was there anyone particularly that you really enjoyed, like working with in scenes? Like, did you think like, oh, it was really fun to do a scene with Maura or Dave?
Everybody. You know what? I have to say everybody, but I particularly like doing scenes with Phil.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I really did. It was just very consistent, and he was really professional. You could always count on Phil.
It was always funny.
It was
He
like
always
that's what it
was.
was like for the
Yeah.
writers too. We were always like, oh, it's always
I learned a lot from him.
fun to write for Phil.
Always made you look good.
That's right.